Hi, Jenny Lee Hodgins here with yourcreativechord.com, and I'm here to announce my brand new ebook, What You Need to Know, Have, and Do to Start Piano Right. And in case you don't know, I've been a piano teacher for many years and a pianist, and I've performed with piano and voice for many, many years in many different situations, and had my own private studio and taught in groups, small and large, and everything in between, and ages 4 to 90. So my book, Everything You Need to Know, Have, and Do to Start Piano Right, covers the recurring questions that students over many years asked me. And if you've always wanted to learn piano, or you've got a child that wants to learn piano, or maybe you played piano when you were younger or many years ago and you really are yearning to get back to it, this book is for you. It answers pretty much all the questions that you have about it. And I've taught piano for many, many years, and I answer all the questions that I've been asked over and over again in my new ebook. I'm going to give you a little tip that kind of covers some of the info in my ebook, but my ebook gives a whole lot more detail. The first tip I wanted to give is the answer to the question, how do I find a good piano teacher? I get asked that a lot. And I'll give you a couple of tips right now, and there's lots more of info about it in the book. But the first tip is, do you know anybody that plays the piano well? And if you do, ask them who their teacher is. And another way that you can find a good piano teacher is if you're a churchgoer, and even if you're not, you can Google church bulletin newsletters or announcements. And often churches have phenomenally good music programs, and sometimes their organists or their pianists also teach, or even a local piano teacher, because I did it many times. I rented or asked permission to have a recital in the religious institution, and they granted me access. So if you can find some announcements of local recitals or concerts by pianists, attend it. And then what do you look for? How do you know if that's a good piano teacher? When you find a place where a piano teacher is having their students perform in a recital and you attend that recital, what do you look for? Well, there are many, many things that you can look for that are great indications that their piano teacher is really good. And I cover all of that in detail in my book. But one thing, in my opinion, is the most important thing. If the majority of the piano students look confident and poised, you may have found yourself a winning piano teacher. It is normal for many people to perform, when they perform, to get nervous a little bit. And if the students are very, very new, or it's their first performance, that's totally understandable. But if the majority of students seem to not be nervous, and even if they feel a little nervous, they feel safe, like they're in a safe place, that's an indication of a piano teacher doing a really good job to prepare them to overcome performance anxiety. And if they look fidgety, or hunched over, or the expressions on their face do not look relaxed, they look maybe even fearful, if it's just one or two of them, it may indicate that maybe it's their first time doing that, or they had a bad day. But if the majority of them look like that, I would say maybe not go that way. If they look really confident and poised, and even if they mess up, they feel relaxed and like it's okay, that is an indication of a piano teacher doing a wonderful job preparing their students for the performance situation. So number one tip for me to give to you today is to look for confidence and poise in piano students at a recital. And stay tuned for my next video, which is going to answer the question, if you want to start piano, what kind of keyboard do I need? Stay tuned. One of the first things that people usually ask is, what kind of keyboard do I need? Well, it depends how committed you are. If you've got a child that's just kind of exploring, or a teenager that's maybe interested but you're not sure of their level of commitment, or you as an adult just kind of want to put your toe in the water and check it out, you may not want to fling for, a Steinway grand piano. You may not even want to swing for an acoustic upright piano. You might just want to check it out and see if you really are interested. So I have many times suggested to my students, if you're just trying it out, it is perfectly okay to buy a 61 key soft action keyboard, which you can get pretty much everywhere from Amazon, Walmart, Target, all over the place, music stores, for around $100. And by saying that, that getting a 61 key soft action keyboard is a great way to start to see if you're interested in learning piano. I know that by saying this, that many of my colleagues and other piano teachers might want to flog me or fling me out the window for saying that. But the reality is, you want to know that you're committed, and you need to be able to invest as much as you can afford to see if you're committed. And if you can't afford more than that, then it's a great way to start. Having said that, if you get a 61 key keyboard, within 6 months and maximum 1 year, you're going to need to upgrade to continue piano. And by that time, you should really know if your child or your teenager or yourself is committed. And at that point, you definitely want to get a better quality instrument to play. If you don't, you're risking learning bad technique. You're risking not being able to fully develop the muscles of a young child in the correct way, because a light action keyboard that is typical of a 61 key keyboard that you can find pretty much anywhere is not the same kind of resistance or action or weight in each key that you will find in an actual piano. So if you want to know more in detail about what kind of keyboard do you recommend, what kind of piano could I get if I want to skip the keyboard, all of that information is covered in my new ebook, What You Need to Know, Have, and Do to Start Piano Right. Check it out. And if you have questions, please comment, send me a question. I'm happy to do my best to answer it. And thank you so much for listening, and I really hope you take the plunge to learn piano. It's a wonderful way to benefit yourself with all kinds of health and emotional and psychological wellness. And stay tuned for my next video, which gives you a little more information about that. One of the questions many adult learners have asked me is, how does piano help me as an adult? That's covered in great detail in my book, but the one thing that I want to offer to you is that playing piano helps you preserve your hearing. It actually, in many research studies that I've quoted in blogs that I've written, if you want to look for those, they're on my website under the creativity, and then drop down to piano. You'll see tons of blogs where I've written about the physical and wellness benefits of piano for adults. And one of the things that I've written about is how playing piano, because you're training your ear to listen to sounds, by playing piano regularly, consistently, research has shown that adults actually prevent the loss of hearing. So that's a wonderful benefit. Of course, there are many others. It also helps adults preserve their memory, and it helps adults improve their cognitive skills and problem solving in all ages, really. There are so many benefits from it. It helps enhance your mood and de-stress and relax your mood and your emotional well-being. So who doesn't need that, right? So as part of a self-care, plan, as you're aging as an adult, and we all are, piano is a wonderful way to give yourself a beautiful experience, and also preserve your good health in the process. So more detail about that is covered in my ebook, and you can get that by following the link below. And stay tuned for another tip I'll bring you in the next video. Thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoy, and I really hope you take the leap into checking out how to take piano lessons. If you have questions about it, check out my ebook or send me a comment, and I'll see if I can answer you. Hi, Jenny Lee Hodgins here of yourcreativechord.com, and I'm just bringing a little bit of the information that's from my ebook with some short tips to you. If you're interested in learning piano, or you have a child that's interested, or a teenager, you yourself have played piano before and you want to get back into it, I've been asked so many times these same questions, and I cover all of the answers to those questions in my new ebook, what you need to know, have, and do to start piano right. But I want to give you a little insight. So one question that's been asked multiple times, I'm going to kind of cover two sides of it. I often have gotten asked by adults, how old is too old to start piano? And my answer to that is, in my opinion, it's never too old. I've taught people all the way up to 90 years of age. Now, the 90-year-old people that I have taught didn't become concert pianists, but they thoroughly enjoyed it and they benefited immensely from weekly lessons and their regular practice routine. And again, there's a great amount of detail, research-based detail about how learning piano enhances your health and actually helps prevent aging issues. So check that out if you're interested in why is piano so great for an adult. Get my ebook. It tells you all about that. The flip side to that is many times I get asked by parents, what age should I start my child in piano? And from my experience, really one of the best ages to start is 7 years of age, or 9 years of age, or 5 years of age. And that age really depends on a few things. It depends on the ability of the child to enjoy sitting there and focusing on a task. And it depends on their learning style, and if they're ready for that kind of focused discipline. It depends on the amount of family support that that child will get and continue to get throughout the piano learning journey. And it depends on the teaching method and the teacher that is working with the student. So in general, it's kind of hard to just give you a blanket answer what age is the best, because it really does depend on those factors, and particularly the individual. I will say that if a child is able to sit still and really focus and is enjoying that process, then 7 years of age is fine. Or even if they're able to sit there and be attentive at 5, that's okay. But many students, from my experience, aren't ready for that. And so I've been able to teach them with different kinds of methods in which they're enabled to move more and use singing and drumming and dancing and movement, as well as keyboarding and ear training, to help them get kind of a foundation to prepare them for really the private piano lesson journey. So there's a whole lot more about that in my ebook. But in general, if your child is able to sit there and really focus, that's a really great sign. If your child is really eager to go to the piano and play around with the keys with individual fingers and is really actively listening to the sounds that they're making on the piano, as opposed to just banging on it, which is not a bad thing. But if they're really exploring the topography of the keyboard with great attention and focus, and they love doing it, and they're immersed and engaged and kind of losing themselves in it regularly, even at a really young age, to me that's a red alert. They're ready. Get a piano teacher now. So those are some indications about your child's interest and ability to get started with piano. If you have any questions, please comment. Let me know. Hopefully I can answer them. And if you want to know a lot more detail, buy my book. Thank you.